So what is a view definition? A view definition can be described as a container for static information. Static information, for example, could be a telephone number, ID number, date of birth, and email address, just to mention a few. Static information can and do change from time to time, for example, a physical address, and WorkPool's view definitions allows the flexibility to edit this information to ensure that you always have an up-to-date database. So let's add a view definition for Mr. Soap. Every view definition needs to be associated to an existing directory entry. If a directory entry does not yet exist, it needs to be created. As I've created Mr. Soap in a previous video, I would now like to create a new view definition for Mr. Soap. My next action would be to find Mr. Soap within my existing database. Searching for Mr. Soap will be covered in detail in a following video. Thinking back to the analogy of the directory as a filing cabinet. When looking for information inside of a filing cabinet, you open a drawer and you find the client-specific folder. In many organizations, when you open the first page of any client folder, on the first page would be all his communication details. In WorkPool, if you click on a client's name, view definitions will be displayed to show the client's communication and personal information, otherwise known as static information. In the rest of the file that you've removed out of a filing cabinet would be all the work ever done for the client. Any policies, any emails, any documents ever prepared and signed by the client. Within WorkPool, this can be found when clicking on the purple folder next to the client's name. Within this video, we're going to focus to add a new view definition for Mr. Soap, and therefore we're going to click on his name to add his static information. Within this WorkPool, I can add a new view definition by clicking on the purple plus to the right hand of my screen. If I hover over the purple plus, the words Add New View would be displayed. Comparing this to the purple plus on the top left hand side of my screen, it says Add a New Entry, meaning a new directory entry. This new view definition will be added and associated to Mr. Soap. By clicking on the purple plus to create a new view definition, I have the following options. The first one within this WorkPool is to create a new communication view, and the second one is to create a person view. This will most likely differ from your WorkPool. The reason for this is that every WorkPool can be configured with its own view definitions for that specific organization's needs. These views that we are going to be looking at today are generic views. First of all, I'm going to add a communication view for Mr. Soap. Within this view, I've got various fields that I could complete. Within this view, you can see that client name, general notes, keyword search, etc. are all in blue, meaning that everything is optional and that I only have to complete the information that I have at hand. In this example, I will only be completing some of the information because I only have some of the information about Mr. Soap. The first option I'm going to complete is the website information. Next to the website information, you will see two little buttons here. The first little up arrow is to upload physical files, and the second one will give me the option to add a website link. If I click on these little down arrows, click on links and URL, I can add the website address for Mr. Soap. By adding the website address, I can in future click on the address link and the IPMG website will open in a separate tab. Next, I'm going to complete the client's telephone number. You will see 3 distinctive blocks. This is because WorkPool allows you to add either international or local telephone numbers into WorkPool. In this case, I selected the international format. What this means is that telephone numbers are added in the following way. As you can see on the screen, the telephone number is added as +27 21 in the second block, and in the last block 592 4488. Equally, you can also add the telephone number in its full form in the last block. Another field that I'm going to complete is the mobile phone number field. In this case, I've added the mobile number field with spaces in between. You can also add the mobile number with +27 in the front, or everything as just one number with no spaces. WorkPool will recognize this as a valid cell phone number and allow you to SMS from the WorkPool view definition. The last field I'm also going to complete is the preferred email address field. Within this field, you are required to enter a valid email address. If you enter any spaces or no @ for example, WorkPool will give you an error message informing you that you've entered an invalid email address. This is because this field has been set as an email address field in the database and looks for appropriate values. I've now entered all the information I've had at hand, and I want to proceed to save this view definition. To do this, I click Save at the bottom of the screen, and I have now successfully added my first view definition for Mr. Soap. As you can see, we can see his website address, and I can click on it and it will open the IPMG website. You will also see that his mobile number is in blue, and if I click on this number, I can send the client an SMS, as well as his email address is in blue. If I click on the client's email address, it will take me to the email composing screen of WorkPool, enabling me to send the client an email. Directory entries can have multiple view definitions. If I click on the purple plus, I now have the option to add another view, and in this case, a person view. You will notice that the option to add the communication view has now been removed. This is because every directory entry can only have one instance of a specific view. I can now add a person view, complete the required information, and press save at the bottom of the screen. If I press save, WorkPool will give me an error saying valid values are required for all compulsory fields. In this case, you will see that record type, surname, first name, home language, and correspondence language are in black, meaning it is required. So the question is unknown a valid answer to a compulsory field? And the answer is yes. Sometimes we do not know what a client's title or record type is, even though it might be compulsory. In this case, I'm going to complete the view definition and press save at the bottom of the screen. I've now successfully added 2 views for Mr. Soap.